Briefly. Okay. I gave you the plan yesterday. Yeah. Did you? Because it took a while for you to get back to me. Yeah, I'm sure. Why with the developers, right? No. Yes. Stop being rude here. Listen, you're being rude because you lied to me. You told me you would have this check. You told me it was a time issue, and you took forever to get it back to me. Now you're adding things on there that were taken off, and now it's being put back on. Why?
You need to have your design professionals do these changes. Get her here.
Why do I need a water fountain? You don't know it's COVID-19? Do you want kids putting their mouths on a water fountain?
What the building code is?
I understand, but maybe you can give an exception so I can open up and open my business. Can you give me an exception? Can you make the exception? Who can make the exception? Sam Borelli? Can Sam make an exception? You can't make any exception.
For another 2 months to send it to the state.
But why does it keep changing? Why do I say?
I'm telling you what you need to do. I'm going away and did your.
But what happened is you cost me a lot of time and money, right? You cost me a lot of time and money by making me go through these changes. You have.
Don't even worry about it.
They got the police app.
He told me he was going to downstairs community.
Absolutely.
He didn't supposed to be up here on this floor. He has no appointment.
I have no appointment. That's why I told him that. I lied to him.
So you have to know.
I lied to him. Because it's the only way that I can get to these people.
No, the only way we can get some movement. Now you can't even come here.
Oh, no? Why? Why can't I come
Come
here?
on. We're not going to talk right now. You're trespassing.
Am I?
Yeah,
Why am I trespassing?
because you just lied, like you just said. You really lied.
But you guys said
No,
you have
no,
to
no,
make
no.
an appointment to come
You
here.
do.
This
So
man
you
had
lied.
lied to me also.
Doesn't know. You didn't have an appointment with him.
Out of my way to help you.
Yeah, this is what they're doing.
Way out of my way.
By the way, can we take the elevator? Are you gonna fix the damages here? Are you
The
gonna
elevator
condemn
man
this
is already
building?
there.
Are you gonna condemn this building?
Yeah.
The parking garage is in
Yeah.
horrible
I'm
shape.
gonna ask you to stop filming.
No, don't stop filming. You're allowed to film. You're allowed by law to film. You don't have to stop. Turn around, show the individual who are circling me. Show this gentleman, show this gentleman also. Okay? We are allowed to film by law. And we'll have to take the stairs because the elevator does not work in the building department. But what about the parking lot that's been the same way for a long time now? Oh, you gonna come see me? The guy, the security officer said he just got me. What does that mean? Is he gonna come do something to me physically? Is that what he means, sir? Is that what you mean by that? You're a police officer. Did you see the threat that he just gave me? Did you hear the threat?
He said he got you.
He got me. What does he mean by he got me?
He said you're gonna fix the problem.
He's not an elevator man, so how does he got me? He said he got me.
He
What does that mean?
got called to come on.
Okay, let me ask you. He said he got me, correct? Is that what you just said?
He said he got you the words you say about everything.
He said, quote unquote, I got you. That's what he said to me, correct?
Somebody said, I'll go right to what they say to you. I'm telling you what he said.
You heard him. Don't deny it. You heard him. Don't deny it. You're a law enforcement officer. Okay? You are sworn. You're sworn by duty. Did he not say that I got you?
He said, I should what they say about that.
Okay, thank you. So where we come from, because I know the gentleman from the old neighborhood. Where we come from, when I say I got you, that means they're gonna come do something to you. Come on, let's go. Yeah, I will. This is ridiculous. The elevator doesn't work. They have all this. Let's go show them the wall. Let's show the wall again. This building needs to be condemned itself. It's all good. It's all good because I will just put out information. I'm going to close up my daycare. Tell the families I'm sorry. The city of Yonkers doesn't want me to open. I'm sorry to the family that we provide therapeutic services. And I'm sorry to the employees we have to let you go because the city of Yonkers doesn't want us to open. And then I'm going to spend every single day working to expose each and every one of you that work in the building department, that work in all the different boards. Mr. Kavanaugh.
Well, I was a little bit upset there, as you can see. Good evening, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. And tonight, building bullies and quash subpoenas. Today, I went over to the building department after finally getting my plans back from a gentleman by the name of Michael Rappi. Or I may be saying that wrong, Rappi or Rappi. He is a building examiner at the building department who, in our last meeting, which was through Zoom for whatever reason, he reviewed the plans that I had there and made some notes. He told me what I needed to revise. So I said, okay, great. I'll go ahead and do that. He said, do me I'll help you out here. Once you get those revisions, what we just spoke about made, then send them over to me. I'll review them really quick before you submit them so that way there's no further problems. I said, okay, great. That's awesome. So I got the revisions made and then I sent them over to Mr. Rappi. Took almost 3 weeks to get them back. And I finally got them back just yesterday. And to my surprise, there were a bunch of things that were added there that I now needed to address. And this is what's been the problem the entire 13 months that I have been trying to get opened. 13 months. 13 months. I have received several different letters from the building department requiring different things. One letter says one thing, the next letter says another. I did a podcast on the YIDA. The very next day, I received a letter with a bunch of stuff on it, and it also was dated back in June. But I received it on September, I believe September 9th. So why was I receiving this letter that was dated in June and September? Further delaying the process and costing me more money. Each day that I'm there, I still have a rent to pay. There have been prior businesses there that catered and serviced children, like a daycare, a karate school, and a dance school. We did absolutely nothing there. We simply went in, put up pictures, nice posters, put some furniture in for students, bunch of laptops that I paid out of my own money, pads and other equipment to make it look the way it does. So when parents walk in there, they say, wow, this is an amazing place. Kids don't want to leave. Kids don't want to leave. We do it out of the kindness of our heart. I don't need to do this business. I don't. Absolutely not. My wife does not need to do it. We are doing it to provide a service for the community because that is what we truly, genuinely want to do with our lives. Making money is not my priority, although it is an important one, but it does not lead me or my wife. It does not guide us. It does not direct us. And contrary to what some may think, we want to improve our community and give back. And we've been doing so out of our own pockets for 13 months now. And I've been trying to work with everyone I can possibly work with to get the situation resolved. I was hoping that once certain individuals reached out to me regarding my podcast, that this would be resolved. And this all stems from not my podcast, but my issues with CPS. And I'm not sure if some of you might be familiar with my issues with CPS. I had several CPS claims against me and my wife. Well, actually, me, really. It was family members who had a personal issue with me, and they used CPS, which we found out in going through that ordeal that happens a lot to many families of all walks of life, all colors, races, nationalities, ethnicities, whatever. It happens all over the world. People use CPS as a tool, and it happens a lot in Yonkers. And in fact, a police officer called it a ghetto move. And in that process, that almost drove us crazy and mad and had my wife shaking with anxiety for days. We learned how horrible this system was. And we reached out to elected officials. And because this had to do with my kids, I was very adamant. And I reached out and I pushed and I contacted the DA, the police, anyone who I can try to reach out to, county legislators, council members. And apparently they were bothered by it. They were so bothered by it that they actually reached out to the Yonkers Voice. They wanted the Yonkers Voice to do a story about daycare owners. The title was going to be, "Do you know who are the owners of your child's daycare?" Why? Because at that time, I had the CPS cases, and I also had order of protection by the same people, an aunt and a cousin of mine, which it was later determined to be false by CPS. This led to my wife and I working closely as now elected officials started to reach out. My wife did an awesome interview on the Yonkers Voice, ironically. That got thousands of views. People reached out to us from all over the country because of it. And that began our journey to where we are today. That led us to opening up Little Prodigies. And that's when they tried to attack us. They wanted Mr. Ruros and Yonkers Voice to put out an article because at the time I was still dealing with it and we were trying to get licensed, which we did. No problem, because they were dropped. CPS found out they were false. My wife and I began working with the Department of Social Services to bring a citizens review panel to Westchester County, because if you are a parent dealing with the CPS case and you are falsely accused, like 84% of the cases, and you want to complain or suggest policy and changes, you have to drive yourself all the way up to Syracuse as it stands now. Although my wife is working adamantly with County Legislator Christopher Johnson, Senator Shelley Mayer, on bringing this citizens review panel to Yonkers for families who have gone through this, because we have been contacted by many families here in Yonkers. And to this day, they reach out and they ask for advice, for help. And we point them in the right direction if we can't guide them. And all we want to do is continue to operate our nonprofit and our daycare that services the community, particularly low-income individuals. And because of my podcast, I am continuing to get a hard time. I was invited to meet with a couple individuals in City Hall. They told me they loved the podcast, or well, I don't say love, they liked it. They thought I was fair. Although they said I needed some guidance. And I took that to mean that they wanted me to put out what they wanted me to put out. They offered me ads. They offered to, reach out to me first with breaking news or news regarding the city of Yonkers, connect me directly with the media and public relations department. And I said, that's great. And I appreciate the offer. However, it's not what I'm looking for. It's not what I want. And they said, why not? It's a good idea. You can make some money. I said, no, I appreciate that. I'm not looking for money. I don't do this for money. I don't do basement politics for money. I don't do it for fame. I don't do it for a political position, as I can never deal with what goes on there. And today, in fact, I saw someone, or one of the gentlemen that I met with, he did wave hi, and I waved back. And that was this evening at today's city council meeting, where, interestingly enough, the council members, or a few of them, had some nice things to say to the city council president, as tonight was his last city council meeting as city council president. Going back to the building department, I cut the video off there where I was in the staircase. I didn't show you where there was a hole in the wall, and the wall was starting to chip, and debris, pieces of the wall, were actually on the stairwell, where people were having to go up and down because the elevator was out of service. And by the way, it was out of service at City Hall today as well when I went to the city council meeting. Upon getting to the main level there of the building department, I was met by a tall police officer, young-looking guy who immediately came at me in an aggressive manner. And you can see the full video on the page. He asked me if he can help me. I said, well, do you work with the building department? He said, no, I work for the city of Yonkers. I said, well, then you can't help me. And I walked away. He said, have a nice day. I thought that was that. However, he followed me all the way to my vehicle. He went into City Hall and stood by the door and watched me. So I watched him back. He closed the door and went in all the way. As I was driving off, he came back out and started to stare. I think he was trying to get my plates. It's B Squad. White Mercedes Benz. I'm not scared. And that was that. And I'm not looking for any issues with people. I'm not looking for any problems. However, I am looking to open my business. I employ people. I provide services to families and children. I employ people who live here in the city of Yonkers, unlike these developers. Okay, I'm in the community. I stand on Lockwood. I clean the sidewalk up and down the street, unlike the developers. If I see a problem on Lockwood, I try to help out. If I can, I try to find someone who can. Like the speeding up and down Lockwood. Very dangerous. Many kids there. Seen several accidents already. In 13 months, 4. I almost saw a kid get killed. And it brought me to tears even though he was not hit because it was that close. And I've had mentioned this several times. And what do we have? What has been done? There is no flashing light. Nothing indicating that it's a school zone. A lot of high school kids. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. But the attentions are on the developers. And today was no different at the city council meeting. Today, they appointed a new member to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Did I say that correctly? A woman by the name of Jean Tickle. And for some reason, I want to say Pickle all the time. Jean Tickle. She was appointed or voted on, and they all agreed, and she became the a member. But what I wanted to show you, and what was most interesting to me, and I was glad that I attended, was the comments made by the city council members in regards to city council president Mike Cater. Today was his last city council meeting, period. Not as just city council president, period. He will not be attending any more city council presidents, at least not in a official capacity. So leading the charge in nice pleasantries was Councilwoman Shanae Williams. And I'll show you that here. And then we'll discuss.
Another subject before we close out the meeting is, I want to say, being that it is the last city council meeting of the year, and for at least one of us, it's the last meeting indefinitely. I want to just say to Council President Mike Cater, it has been an interesting, fun, challenging, difficult, but also really good experience working with you as our council president over the past 4 years. I have no doubt that you will continue to advocate and be active in the city of Yonkers the way that you have been doing as council president. I'm proud of the work that we were able to do together throughout your tenure, and I just want to wish you all the best in your future endeavors as you move forward. So while you won't be with us in the new year, we know that you'll be with us in the community, and that's what matters. Congratulations to you, and farewell.
Thank you, Councilman Williams. Majority Leader Pineda Isaac.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I too want to wish you well. I congratulate you for the time that you've served here on the council and as a council president. I think that, the job of elected officials can be a thankless job, but we come, to work every day with a mission in mind. And I think, you share a mission to serve. And for that, I congratulate you. I wish you the best in your endeavors. I know that it's a commitment that you give to the city, and it's time that you would take away from your family. And I'm sure that the city thanks you for that and for that time. So I wish you the best, best of luck, and good luck in anything that you do.
Thank you so much, Majority Leader. Councilman Moranti.
Thank you, Council President. Yes, it's been an honor to serve with you. You're a good friend, and wish you well. And just remember, you never need anything, just call your councilman.
For the record, he's my council person. So you know who I'll be calling. Thank you, Councilman Moranti. Before we do, I'll yield the floor to Councilman Rubo. I do want to address the residents of Yonkers and all of my colleagues. From all the responsibilities and duties I ever had, being the city council president in the city that I love has been the second greatest honor. The first is being a husband and a father. My son was here today, led us with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Majority Leader, this is a thankless job. Every decision that we make, we're going to make somebody happy and somebody not so happy. And I want to thank each of you all across the aisle for making me a politically stronger person, a politically wiser person. I am very thankful for a lot of the good stuff that we did, as Councilman Williams relayed to. We helped tackle some environmental issues at the local level. We helped increase aid to the Board of Education for our students at historic levels. We tackled quality of life issues, increased funding for paving. We're tackling street issues. We started bringing a diversity of ideas and a different perspective to these council chambers. That being said, there's still much more work to be done. I am thankful to be part of this team, that we're able to do many things. There's still more to be done. Most of all, I want to thank the residents, each and every single one of you. No matter where you live, if you support or don't support where you are on the social spectrum, we are stronger together. And on day one, I try to put my best foot forward with integrity, with character, and doing what's best in the city of Yonkers. On day one, I made decisions based on my values, and I've tried to be consistent no matter what the issue was. The honor of being your city council president is something that I will cherish for the rest of my life. It could not have been done without the support. She's still here, my wife, Rena, my 3 children, because when I was out doing something, where we had meetings, discussions, I wasn't with them. So I certainly don't know what the future holds for me, but I'm certainly going to be looking forward to spending more quality time with my children. All the good work could not have been done without the amazing staff, particularly David, Haley, Kim, Lena, Charles, who stood above the fray and made sure that the people's work was always done. I want to thank the council, to the city council president, Jeff Buss, for always giving me sound legal advice with integrity and authenticity, and always giving me the ideas to help improve the city of Yonkers. I thank each and every single one of you, and I'll catch everyone on the rebound. That being said, Councilman Rubo, I know we have some special guests in the house.
I'm sorry, I was muted. I apologize about that. But what I was saying was that Mr. Cater there, that was his final farewell as city council president. And then you heard the comments there by Shanae Williams, Councilwoman Williams, and Councilwoman Corazon Pineda. I think the only one that was sincere was Councilman Anthony Moranti. However, he was part of the signing of the investigation or the letter to Leah McLaughlin to investigate. Shanae Williams said it was interesting. It was fun, and some other comments that kind of contradicted themselves. Shanae Williams did not mention that City Council President Mike Cater was the one who introduced the new housing ordinance, which she takes responsibility for mostly, although she did make some revisions, which I find interesting. If they all wanted this ordinance, well, not all. We knew Moranti, we knew Breen didn't, John, we knew he didn't. But Corazon did. She said she did. Tasha said she did. Shanae said she did. And then they went after City Council Mike Cater, who introduced the bill. Well, the subpoenas were quashed. Again, you may remember from my last podcast, I mentioned that the subpoenas issued by Inspector General Liam McLaughlin were quashed by Judge Lefkowitz. He then reissued the subpoenas, adding additional items on the subpoenas, and they too were quashed. It's third time a charm. Will he issue or reissue subpoenas, or is this over? And are they now going to investigate other potential quid quo pro possibilities that are very blatant and deserve at least an inquiry? Liam McLaughlin, Inspector General, I am Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics, and I'm asking you to at least look in to the potential quid quo pro of John Rubo, because I want to keep it fair and honest. This is not about attacking Councilman Rubo, but about addressing the potential quid quo pro. His landlord being AMS. Developers that are highly involved in developments going up all over Yonkers, whether they are directly the owners of the building or are investing in the building or are loaning the money to the developers who are developing the building. They are involved some way, somehow. They've managed to bypass the contribution limits set forth by the county and state, or I'd say by the county, by donating under different companies, but it's still the same owners. So technically it's still the same people. It's simply a loophole to bypass contribution limits. Why are they adamant about giving him more than what he's entitled to receive? What does his lease look like at the Yonkers Brewing Company? Is he paying market rate rent? Has he always paid his rent? Where are the checks, the canceled checks or the check stubs for rental payments to that business. After all, he was instrumental in securing Chicken Island for AMS. I mean, the evidence is there. The judge asked to show cause on the subpoenas issued by Liam McLaughlin because he had absolutely nothing but rumors from a blog that were repeated, I would imagine, in a formal letter by candidate or former candidate Republican Ron Madden. Mr. Ron Madden, have you been watching Basement Politics? Do you feel that I have presented enough information for you to write another letter? Or are you going to sit this one out? We have heard nothing since Cater spoke. Also, the Yonkers lawyers saying in court they were being paid by the John Rubel campaign, yet there is no expenditure for them. What she is referring, Carolyn, is the lawyers that represented Augustine Morales in the Carlos Burgos signature case. He was represented by Harris Beach. Harris Beach has contracts with the city. They receive their outside legal work. They also represent the Yonkers Industrial Development Agency. They were hired more than likely by the campaign to elect John Rubel. However, those expenditures have not been listed. But the handwriting expert was $10,000 for Andrew Solner. That is on the expenditures reported to the Westchester County Board of Election. That was actually reported back in April, or maybe that's when the transaction happened. So again, that's more evidence. Why is the Board of Ethics allowing for John Rubel to continue to chair the real estate committee? The conduct of and by Yonkers City Councilman John Rubel, District 4, has editorial discovery demanding investigation by Yonkers Inspector General Liam McLaughlin, Esquire, mitigated by guidance, authority, and directive by the Yonkers Board of Ethics. Yonkers Board of Ethics gave written permission informing Councilman Rubel that he need not recuse himself for any issue concerning or coming before the real estate committee. Can we see the written permission? Is that possible? I mean, these developers seem to get permits quickly. Lionsgate's already in phase 2 of their developments, receiving $8 million of YIDA money, and I'm yet to get my plans approved for a small daycare. 13 months. These guys are almost done. How's that possible? Also, the Yonkers lawyers, oh, yes. So again, I showed that comment. I'm sorry. You are not being rejected. You are being protected and redirected to something much greater. Well, I hope so. This is the order to show cause. Ordered the respondent, City of Yonkers, Liam McLaughlin, in his individual and official capacity as Inspector of City General, City of Yonkers, or the attorneys are directed to appear before court, Supreme Court, this order to show cause with temporary restraining order. They are not providing any justification other, again, than rumors and innuendos. This is AMS Realty, AMS Builders, highly involved here in Yonkers, as you can see by the highlighted areas. So, is there any potential quid quo pro? AMS, on June 9th, 2021, AMS 1 LLC contributed to campaign to elect John Rubel, $2,000. Just 5 days later, AMS Group LLC contributed another $2,000 to the campaign to elect John Rubel. Hey, John, Teamsters 4 456 contributed. Why are you not helping them out? So again, is that justification for an inquiry, an investigation? Is that sufficient? And if so, why is Liam McLaughlin not inquiring or investigating or issuing subpoenas to Councilman Rubo, requesting lease, requesting checks and other documents as he did with City Council President if this is not personal? Democrats, I want to advise you that you have lost the city of Yonkers to Republicans. Make no mistake. Many of the Democrats are Republicans through and through. Liam McLaughlin, Republican. John Rubo, Republican. Even the mayor was Republican at one point. Are those Republican ties still strong? Let's look at the Board of Ethics. Planning Board agenda. And you guys should really check this out. If you're a resident of the city of Yonkers, you really should go onto the Yonkers city page, read the minutes. Read the minutes. It's very important. It's very informative. And you'll see who the major players are. You'll see the rotation. You'll see which attorneys you have to hire. And maybe had I hired the right architect, the guy that likes to put up the blue sign everywhere on his projects, I might have had no issue. I might have had no issue. And maybe had I played nice and given my podcast up to the powers that be so I can then pump out their agenda, I might have had no issues. But that's not who I am. So I just want to show you what it looks like. The agendas, the minutes, although for whatever reason, there were no minutes that I can look at all for any of the meetings when it came to the planning board. Why is that? Chick-fil-A. Hey, Mr. Sabatino, do you see that there? So again, is there anything else that needs to be presented for an inquiry to begin? Or is there anything else, any more information that you, City Council, Councilwoman Shanae Williams, Councilwoman Corazon Pineda, Councilwoman Tasha Diaz, Councilman Moranti, Councilman Breen, I almost said Rubo. Are you guys going to write a letter to the Inspector General in regards to potential quid quo pro? Or does someone have to write a formal letter? Is the letter sent to Councilman Rubo in the minutes? No, there are no minutes for the planning board meetings at all. At all, for whatever reason. And I will show you. This is what it looks like. However, if you can go to the YIDA and the other boards and city council meetings, you will see the minutes. And I advise you and I recommend that you go and you take a look, see what's there, familiarize yourself with it. This is the meetings and agendas for the planning board. Agenda, not included, not included. Minutes, not included, not included. I mean, nothing. Why is that? And it's very important that they put the minutes up because you can, know what's going on, what's being said, what's happening in Yonkers. You can see it coming before it happens. So again, I'm asking you, City of Yonkers, do you believe that the City Council should draft up a letter to Liam McLaughlin and request a formal investigation or inquiry into potential quid quo pro between Rubo and his landlord AMS? Should Rubo recuse himself from voting, particularly when it comes to AMS. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think that's enough? All tactics to suppress everyone except themselves. Right. And as I learn more and more about Yonkers politics, as I learn more and more about the individuals, I'm starting to see the connections, the same individuals appointed in one position, then moved to another. Who are the ones paying for the campaign of many of these elected officials? Should there also be an investigation into the fact that council members advise Jeffrey Buss, who, by the way, was sitting to the right of Council President Mike Cater? Should they investigate who were the council members that called him up and advised him that they were being put under political pressure, or political pressure was being exerted on them in order to investigate? Yes or no? Who were the council members that he mentions in the letter to Liam McLaughlin? And why was Liam McLaughlin not, or why did he not recuse himself from the very, very beginning? Immediately, seeing as though he has had prior issues with the city council president that date back to 2017. Again, I mentioned on my last podcast, Dennis Gallego, if I'm not saying that correctly, his wife, Roseanne, was the one who filed for the Committee for a Better Yonkers, the committee that is funded primarily by developers. The reason for this political action committee is to convince people of whatever message they want to deliver, to support and to sponsor and to fund campaigns of individuals who will do their bidding. They cannot launch an investigation into Councilman Rubo because they need him on the seat as the chair. And he may be the one they tap for mayor. Did anyone get that text message that was going around? It was kind of an informal survey asking if you would support several individuals for mayor. Who got that text message? The people must petition for transparency. Absolutely. Absolutely. In doing my investigations or in doing my research, it's hard to find any recent information, any recent audits, any information regarding the YIDA, not estimates, but actual information. How many jobs have been retained total for the amount of money that's been given in tax breaks? What exactly has the city and the people of this city received in return for each and every one of the projects that receive YIDA money? And is there any connections between the projects going up and Empire Strategic Planning, Nick Spano's consulting firm, which mentions Jim Kavanaugh, president and CEO of the YIDA, as a partner and lobbyist? Would you be okay? Let me ask you, would you be okay if I had a company that developers pay lots of money to so that way I can go to my relative and say, hey, listen, or my partner in the business and say, hey, you're going to give them money. Okay, cool. We need more transparency. Am I saying anything illegal is going on? No, because I have no proof other than the obvious, other than common sense, and because of the connections. There should be more transparency. There needs to be a citizens review board, some citizen oversight. We need to have a group of individuals, a committee of citizens who are independent to review our entire government and any decisions that they're making. I want to know where the benefits to the city are. I think it's funny how Shanae called Yonkers Voice to City Hall to state that she felt that Councilman Rubo was going to try and play a fast one on the council for AMS. He had called a 24-hour meeting. Yes, that was regarding Chicken Island, correct? Yet Shanae has not called him out anymore. Shanae should have stood up for Mike Cater. She should have stood up for Mike Cater. If you really supported the people, you should have stood up for Mike Cater. You should have stood up for Mike Cater. The same Kavanaugh that was accused of squandering $300,000 in Battery Park City Authority. Yes, that's correct. James Kavanaugh resigned, I believe, from Battery Park City Authority down in Manhattan for misappropriation of funds to the tune of $300,000. Well, now he gets to misappropriate our tax money and buy homes in Rhode Island and condos in Bronxville. So it frustrates me that as a small business owner, as a longtime resident of the city of Yonkers, who loves it so much that I give back out of my own pocket and time, and I'm going to continue to say that because I do, and I'm going to continue to do it because that's what I want to do. It's sad that someone like me and others, because I can bring clients as examples onto my show, and they can talk about the horrors of dealing with the Yonkers Building Department. And they like to blame the past Commissioner Vincent PC. But the reality is, everyone knows who controls the building department, who controls the YIDA, who controls the parking authority, who controls all the boards, and who controls the city council. I mean, they are funded by the same individual. So how can we have an independent council, one that has true integrity, that is loyal to the people, truly loyal to the people, that has their best interests at heart always? When they are being funded by the same individuals who seek to enrich themselves. Have our schools improved? Parents, you know what it's like choosing a school for your kid, picking your top 3. How long has that been going on for? How many times have you gotten a ticket because you came home after a certain time and you were so exhausted and you just couldn't drive around the block another time? What about the crime that's going up? Yes, it's going up all over the country. What about the lack of youth centers, community centers? I'm trying to establish one. And by the way, I want everyone who cares about community centers to call up the community centers listed on the Yonkers City webpage. If the number is not disconnected, you probably won't get anyone to pick up. I called today, each and every one of them, to see what programs they offered at these centers. Who was there, what times they had these programs, what activities. I wanted to share on my page, promote it. I didn't get not one single person. No Dine Hill Community Center, nobody. Yet they're going to be doing a toy drive there. Just make sure you bring lots of money. They got a lot of alcohol for sale. Other than that, what else goes on there? And I'm frustrated. And you know, and I think we all should be frustrated. I think it's about that time that we all start to speak out. No longer should you hide or be afraid or in private, because we need to make change in the city of Yonkers for everybody. And I'm not saying development is all the way bad, but it must be done right. It must be done with, again, the people of the city of Yonkers in mind. We cannot allow for political assassinations right in front of our faces, political vendettas to take priority over the people and governing the city of Yonkers. We cannot allow for greed to be the deciding factor in what happens and decisions made. We cannot allow for a council that is full of individuals who are simply there to do the bidding of one or two individuals. And that's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact. I've seen some stuff. I've been to some events. I've been invited to eat at Gianna's. I've been invited to eat at Zupta's. I've been around the Yonkers elite. I see those who everyone circles around. I see the hanger-oners, the wannabes, the sellouts. It's all the same group of individuals. And I saw it all. And I'm not a part of that. And I don't want to be a part of that. So thank you for the invite, but no thanks. No thanks. And Liam McLaughlin, once again, if you do not initiate an inquiry based on my request here on Basement Politics, expect a letter to be mailed to your office and expect another letter to be hand delivered. We're going to keep it fair and balanced. I'm here for the little people. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. Thank you for joining me tonight. I will see you Thursday. Liam, expect that letter.
Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez. You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddie Vasquez.
Game over. Game over. Game over.